Hey everyone, Tracy Jackson here, Tax Savvy Nurse, and we're going to do another video on what's going on with this stimulus check. Okay, everyone is just, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So I haven't done a video yet because it's just so many moving parts and it's always changing every day. I didn't want to just throw information out there, but I think we kind of have a good idea, so I just want to make sure I can try to clarify some things. So if you're new to me, I am Tracy Jackson. I'm a nurse and a tax professional. So I do taxes and a business coaching for nurses and small businesses, and really just trying to help them pay the least amount in taxes and help them to increase their cash flow. Okay, so with this stimulus check, I'm going to try to break it down just in like basic bullet points here of what you need to know. Okay, so pretty much this stimulus check is for us. They're giving money to us to help hold us over for however long this COVID-19 is going to be really hindering things, right? It's really shooken things up. It's just crazy right now. It's crazy. So they're trying to help us out. So what they're giving is up to $1,200 for the stimulus check, and I'm going to break down kind of how that looks. But this credit is going to be, you don't have to pay it back. All right, so a lot of people are asking that, do I have to pay it back? Am I going to be taxed on it and all of that? So pretty much it's a credit that's available for 2020, but they're giving it to us ahead of time. Right, so what's going to happen is basically they're going to go off of your 2018 or 2019 tax return. If you haven't filed 2019 yet, because you do have until July 15th, so that's cool, then they're going to go off of your 2018. So they're going to take your adjusted gross income and they're going to look at that. Now, if they determine once you file your 2020 taxes, you know, next year, for 2020, once you file your next year's taxes, they're going to look and see, did you get too little or too much of the refund? I'm sorry, of the credit. If you got too little, then they're going to make up the difference. You'll see that added to your refund. If you were given too much, then you don't have to pay that back. So hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to, they're not going to add that to if they find out that they gave you, or if they figure based off of the numbers that you got too much of the stimulus check, then you don't have to like pay that back. But if you got too little, they'll give you the difference on the 2020 tax return that you will file. So it's a 2020 credit. They're just giving it to us ahead of time. Okay. So basically they're going off of your income. If you are filing single, or if you're filing single or married filing separate, so they kind of determine that as being kind of single, married filing separate or single, then they go by $75,000 unless you get the full $1,200. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, once you make more than if you made more than $75,000, it goes up to $99,000. After $99,000 for that, for single or married filing separate, then you don't get the stimulus. Okay, so if you made over $99,000 for single, married filing separate, no check. Now, head of household is different. Head of household is $112,500. If you made less than that, you'll get the $1,200 stimulus check. If you make more than $146,500, then you will not get the stimulus check. Okay, in between that, it varies. It changes for every $100 more than the $112,500. They're going to the check is going to decrease. Okay, so that it starts to phase out at $112,500 for head of household, and then if you're married filing joint, it's $150,000. So if you make less than $150,000, you will get the $1,200, the full $1,200, and then it starts to phase out after that up until $198,000. Then if you're married filing joint, then you won't get the $1,200. Okay, sorry, my computer keeps freezing up. So hopefully you guys caught that. So those are the ranges for receiving the check. Now, I don't know if I already mentioned it, but just remember that if that it's going to change by $5, so you'll get $5 less of the stimulus check for every $100 over that minimum number. So 75,000 for a single, 112, 500 for a head of household, and then 150,000 married filing joint. So for every $100 over those numbers, up until the complete phase out, you'll get $5 less of the stimulus. And I believe there's a calculator somewhere out there that if you put those numbers in, it'll give you an idea of what your check's going to be. I'll try to post that below. All right, so let's talk about children. Oh, goodness. So for children, you're going to receive $500 for each child below age 16. So if based off of your return, if they were 16 or older at the time, then you will not receive the check, okay, for $500. So they have to be 16 or younger, I should say. So if they're 17 and above, unfortunately, people are upset about that because, you know, it really cuts out college kids, right? Or if they're still in school, they're still a dependent. Unfortunately, you don't get that check. So yeah, that's a tough one, but that's how they did it. So there's a couple other, so basically if you're high income and you won't get the check, right? If you're above those phase out levels, you won't get the check. Students or children or dependents that are 17 and over won't get the check. And then also if you don't have a social security number, or you're not at least filing your return, if you're married and together, then if you're not filing a return where someone on that return has a social security number, then it's my understanding you don't get the check either. So you have to have a social or be filing with someone that has the social security number. And then what else did I want to say? So I talked about the children. Now, how are you going to get the checks? Pretty much your bank account information is on your tax return, whatever tax return that they're going off of, whatever bank account that's on there, it's going to be direct deposit. So if you filed and you received your return direct deposit, we're going to put the money into that bank account. I had a question from someone that filed together with her husband, and they're separated now, so the check will be going to his account, right? Because his account number was on that return, and she haven't filed her 2019 yet. So there's going to be like different variations and things that are tricky, you know, scenarios. But and I'm not 100% sure, but I know that they're supposed to be coming out with a website where you can, if you didn't have your account information on there, then you can update it. But since they haven't like filed yet, I don't know how that's going to work, because most likely if she doesn't file before the checks go out, they're going to send that her part to her husband, her ex. So you know, you guys are going to have all those questions, but just in general, if you can try to make sure that your address is updated, there is a form that you can send in to update your address, or they may be going to an online feature for that as well to update your address. Other than that, you can file the IRS form to update your address, because they're going to mail the checks. Okay, so if there's let's say that you owed 2018 and 2019, if you owed and your bank account information probably wasn't on there, then they're just going to go ahead and mail you the check at the address that's on that return. If you have since then moved, then you need to update your address. Okay, so I think that's okay. I also wanted to mention for student loans, they are waiving that. So if your refund was normally offset for student loans, then you will still get the stimulus check. So some people are asking that. And then also, unfortunately, if you are on child support, if you're a male or woman, anyone that's on child support, and if you owe arrears, then you unfortunately do not get the stimulus check. And then also there was some back and forth with Social Security, because Social Security, like some people don't file returns. So if you don't file a return but you still have income, I think the last update, you know, of course, your Social Security income. Um, if you don't file a return, then the last I heard is that they will still mail you a check. Like you don't have to actually file, because if you don't normally file, they have your numbers, right? It's the Social Security. They have that information. So from what I understand, they went back and forth. At first they said no, then you would have to file, and then they came back and said you don't have to file. So if you guys find anything different on that, let me know. But that's my latest understanding of if you don't file a return, if you didn't file one for 2018, 2019, and you just get Social Security income, then they will still mail you the check. Oh, so the last thing that I wanted to say was you can, if you don't qualify, let's say based off of your situation for 2018, 2019, if you don't qualify for the stimulus check on those years, remember this is a credit that is for 2020. So if you file 2020 and they see that you're eligible for the credit, then they'll give it to you then. But again, remember this was you know, something that they just wanted to give us ahead of time so that we can have some relief. Okay, so hopefully you guys followed me with that and found it helpful to just know those ranges. You guys know that, just know that it's coming. Be patient. As far as the date, I've seen something about April 13th that they will be starting to send them out. And of course, there's so many people, so I'm sure they'll send them out in phases. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it you know, shortly after April 13th. But I've also heard, like, you know, more towards the end of April. So just be patient, give it some time. Don't, guys, try not to bombard us tax professionals with questions on when you're going to get your stimulus check, because the reality is we don't have any control over that. You know, we just try to update you with information on what's going on. But, you know, if you do need to file your 2018, and please, this is so important. We're getting bombarded with people who's like don't normally file because they just like to wait for a couple years for whatever reason, and they're wanting to file now because you won't get a check if they don't have your tax return filed. So please reach out to us, get us your paperwork if you really need to file 2018 and 2019. You know, get us your paperwork so that we can go ahead and file for you, so that you can be evaluated for this stimulus check. Okay, so I am doing a special for like $99 to file your 2018. So that's, you know, more than half off of what I normally do. So just go ahead and reach out to me so we can get it done, so that you can possibly get, you know, whatever you're owed for that credit. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, you can always text me 770-282-5113. You can email me at info@taxsavvynurse.com. If you want to schedule a consultation, I will put my calendar link below. And make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I have to admit, I'm not very consistent with posting videos. I'm just so honest. But I do at least try to post on Facebook or on my business page, Tax Savvy Nurse. Yeah, just Tax Savvy Nurse. And then if you're seeing this on YouTube, on Facebook, make sure you go check me out on YouTube at Tax Savvy Nurse as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and just remember, be patient. The checks are coming, and if you have any questions, let me know. All right, until the next video, talk to you then.